Hello everyone, welcome to another short video. In this video, we are going to look at the configuration of active-active HA on Palo Alto Firewall. So I'm using the topology which I used for the active-passive HA. But what I have done, out of these four links, I'm using two links as HA1 links, one link as HA2 link, and the last link as a HA3 link. Okay, HA3 is needed for the active-active HA setup. And there are two VPCs, VPC1 and VPC2. They have the respective IP addresses written on top of them. And then they go to internet via the respective firewalls, either via this or either via this. And there was a lot of configuration. So for the brevity, I have already done it. I'm just going to show you where to do what the configuration is, and then we will look at how the session setup happens and how can we find out what firewall is the session owner for a specific session. Let's jump on to the first firewall, which is Palo Alto 1. If you go to Palo Alto 1, go to device and then the high availability. I'll go to the general. In the general settings, what you have to do is we have to configure similarly as we did for active passive HA, but we have to select here active active. And once you check this active radio button, then you need to select a device ID. Okay, I'm giving this device ID, this device, the device ID of 0. And then these two are for the IP addresses of the peers HA1 control links. After doing this setting, you have to do the election setting, which will be active primary and active secondary unit. So lower the priority will get the role of active primary. And I have, checked the box for the preemption to be enabled. HA timer settings, I'm using recommended. And now for the HA communication, we do the same configuration. You can see HA1 and HA1 backup, these two links have the same configuration as we did for the active passive setup, but you will see there is no HA2 backup link because I'm using this link as HA3, which is needed for packet forwarding over active firewall configuration. I'll tell you when that happens. So HA2 link configuration remains the same in session synchronization enabled, ETH1 by 6 is used, transport is Ethernet. That's it. What I have done, I have removed a port from HA2 and I have configured it as packet forwarding port for the HA3 interface. Let's look at it configuration. So HA3 interface is ETH1 by 7. VR sync will happen through that link. QoS sync will happen through that link. Also, if any traffic that comes to, somehow this firewall and needs to be sent to the other active firewall, then that traffic will travel through this specific link. Okay, and tentative hold time. Suppose for any reason if this firewall is having some problems, so before it can start forwarding the traffic, there will be a delay of 60 seconds, so that all the routing sync and forwarding table build can happen before it takes on the first packet. Session owner selection. So how will you determine which firewall will own the session? There was something session setup and session owner. So session owner selection, there are two options: primary device and first packet. So if you set the box as if you set the radio button of the primary device, then primary device will always be the session owner, and that will be exactly like going to the, the active passive scenario in terms of owning the session. So we are going to use the first packet. So whatever firewall sees the first packet, that's gonna own the session. And session setup firewall, how the session setup firewall will be determined based on the IP modulo. If it's there will be IP address, then its modulo will be determined, and based on that a decision will be made whether the active primary or active secondary will take on the role of the session setup firewall. We already looked at their roles in the previous video, so I'm just going to show this setting here. Now, once you set the active, when you check the here the mode as active, you will get another tab of active config here. Okay, so you'll get another tab of active config. Let me just zoom in a bit more. Active config. So in active config, I'm using the floating IP based setup. So in terms of floating IP based setup, what I have done, these interfaces have their respective IP addresses here, 10.0.0.1, and this one has 10.0.0.2, the aggregate interface. But along with that, they also have two more floating IP addresses. Every firewall has two more floating IP addresses, which is 10.0.0.19 and 10.0.0.100. So 10.0.0.100 is active on this firewall and 10.0.0.19 is active on this firewall. Similarly, for WAN links also, this firewall has 201 as its own IP address, 202. This one has 202 as well, dot 202. But dot 99 and dot 100 are floating IPs. Dot 99 is active on this firewall and dot 100 is active on this firewall here. You can see I have written active. So in order to configure what floating IP will be active on what firewall, you need to go to these settings here. In active configuration, you need to click on add, choose the interface from the top. I choose the AE1 there. And then I'll show you the config. Just one second. Yep, I choose the AE1. And then I said 10.0.0.19. It's a floating type of IP address. It's a floating type of IP address. And then on device 0, its priority is 100. On device 1, its priority is 110. That would mean lower the priority will win the race. So this will be active on device 0 and the other one will be active on device 1. I have changed the priorities. But in case of a failover, both the IPs will be active on a single device. Okay, that's how it works. And similarly, the same things I have done for the WAN link as well. You can see ETH 1 by 3, two IP addresses, dot 99 and dot 100. 99 active on device 0 and 100 active on device 1. So what I'm gonna do here is this machine has been set with the gateway of, I believe, this firewall, and this one has been set with the gateway of this firewall. So whenever this machine will send the traffic, it will go to this firewall. So that's how we are doing it here. Now let's have a look how this session set up and all. So in order to let me log into the CLI of firewall in order to show you something. Just one second. I want to show you how to, and yes, similar configuration has been done on this firewall as well. Other one in the HA. You see, enable the HA, active. These IP addresses are same as we did in the active passive, and then HA communications are same. Same is configured. I have moved out this port and configured it here, and then the active config is same as we did on the other unit. Now I want to show you how to see from the CLI what IP addresses are active on the what firewall. So one second, I have mistyped the word show availability virtual addresses. You can see dot 99 is active on this firewall, but dot 100 is not active on here. Similarly, the other one, you can check on this one as well. Admin, yes. Password, let me put a password here. Okay, it's taking some time. While it's taking some time, I'll show you the NAT policies. There's a big challenge with the NAT when you do active. You need to be very careful while designing your NAT policy. Yep, you can see I have two NAT policies. One is NAT to internet. So it's the similar going from LAN to WAN. Translated packet, I am doing PAT, basically dynamic IP and port interface address, ETH1, but I'm giving floating IP address. And which floating IP address? Dot 99 floating IP address, because dot 99 is active on this firewall. And then active HA binding, I select it should be active on device 0. So on device 0, whenever a NAT will happen, it will be given to source will change to this IP address. But when the device, I have created two NAT rules, if you see. And on the for the other one, you see other one is active on the device ID 1. On device ID 1, it will be given IP address as 100. So on this device here, if the NAT is done by this device. Now let's have a look. Okay, secondary has also logged in. I wanted to show. Okay, I just again mistyped the whole thing. Show high availability and then the virtual addresses. Yep, you can see 100 events are active here and those are active there. Now let's try to do a ping. I'll go on this device. Let me first check the IP addressing. Show IP. Okay, it has 99. So it means for this device, it will send its packets to this device. Let's try to ping Google. Ping 8.8.8 hyphen T. Yep, the ping is working. Now let's go to the device which had this. This one is this device. Let's see on CLI, show connection. Sorry. So session, all. Yeah, let's take a one session. Let's take session number 350 and see the information on it. You see here, look at this information. Session owner is HA active local firewall. Yes. So for this session, our local firewall is the session owner as well as the session setup. Okay. Now let's go to other. I'll just stop it and close it. Now let's look at this one. Show IP. So for this, the traffic is going to here, this firewall. Now let's do a ping. Ping 8.8.8 hyphen T. Okay, now session will be synced, so we will be seeing our sessions here as well. You can check on any firewall, not like this. I'll need to look at the different source IP for it. So my source IP now is 10. Previously it was. So let's look at session number, session ID 390. Yep, if you see for this session, session owner is the local device. No, the session owner is other device. This one. And is our firewall as a session setup device? Yes, our firewall is the session setup device for this session. So session ID was 390. Let's look at here. Show session ID 390. If you see, you can see on this device it shows session owner is me. That's a active local device. Yes, but setup locally is session setup device is not this because session setup device is this. So that's what I wanted to explain you about, about session setup and session owner device. Now, along with that, let me just stop it. Let me show you where to see the status. If we go to the dashboard, you can see on, let's go to the both of the dashboards here. Yeah, you can see mode active, local is active primary, peer is active secondary, running config synchronized, everything matches. And you see, I don't have a HA2 backup because I moved that towards HA3. So if any packet that has to go for, session owner job where the other firewall is the owner for the layer 7, it will be using the HA3 link and will be going to the other firewall for the job to be done. So that's how you configure the floating IP based active HA. And thank you for your time. Have a good day. And I hope you get the concept of it. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments or send me a message or LinkedIn. Thank you. Have a good day.